New England contains some of the oldest houses in America. Many of these structures were built centuries ago, long before electricity and decades before any standardized building codes existed. Beneath the floorboards of these historic homes lie primitive, hand-dug dirt foundations. The walls are constructed from fieldstone, stacked loosely by early settlers, often leading back into narrow crawlspaces stretching out under the property. This diagram compares a modern concrete foundation on the left to an irregular 19th century fieldstone wall on the right. Because these stones were never a perfect fit, the architecture contains structural voids, unmapped negative spaces that do not appear on any modern blueprints. These hidden environments allow someone to exist within the physical footprint of the home while remaining completely invisible to the people living above them. Last autumn, a man named Ethan bought a Vermont colonial home dating back to the early 1800s. While cleaning out the fieldstone basement, he noticed something that didn't match the rest of the masonry. Embedded directly into a section of the ancient stone wall were perfectly straight, modern red clay bricks. The bricks sounded hollow. When Ethan removed them, he didn't find a dirt bank behind the wall. He found a separate, hidden room with a single wooden chair sitting in the center. The room was covered in a thick layer of dust, except for the floor. A single set of fresh shoe prints led from the chair into the dark corner of the room. There were no prints leading back out. Ethan immediately replaced the bricks and mortared them into place, sealing the wall before he went to bed. The following morning, the bricks were gone. They hadn't been kicked out from the basement side. They were stacked neatly on the floor, having been removed from the inside while Ethan was upstairs. The threat changes when a presence in the basement stops being a passive discovery and begins to move through the house while the owner is home. Melissa lived in a rented farmhouse in New Hampshire. Because the furnace was located downstairs, she had to go into the basement every night to check the settings before sleep. On a January night at 11:45 p.m., the furnace abruptly shut off. Melissa grabbed a flashlight and headed down the wooden stairs to see if the pilot light had gone out. As she reached the bottom, a voice whispered from the darkness, "Hello?" Melissa froze. Assuming it was a prank or a neighbor, she asked, "Who's there?" There was no response. She turned to the furnace and flipped the reset switch. As the machine hummed back to life, she heard the whisper again, right behind her ear. Wrong answer. Melissa ran for the stairs and locked the basement door behind her. The next morning, she found muddy footprints leading from the basement door, down the hallway, and stopping directly at her bedroom door. There were no prints leading back away from the room. Some basement discoveries suggest that these intruders aren't just temporary squatters, but have been part of the house for as long as the foundation itself. When Jacob inherited his grandparents' home in Maine, contractors found a crawlspace beneath the basement floor that didn't appear on any of the house's blueprints. Jacob crawled 40 feet into the tunnel and found a small, hidden room containing a bed, a table, and a set of shelves. While the room was covered in dust, the lantern sitting on the table was still physically warm to the touch. As Jacob began to back out of the crawlspace, he heard a door click shut in the dark. Then the sound of hands and knees hitting the dirt as someone began crawling toward him at high speed. Jacob made it back into the basement and had the contractors fill a crawlspace entrance with concrete the next day. Weeks later, Jacob was going through family photos and found this Polaroid of his grandfather in the basement in the 1970s. In the shadows behind him, a face is clearly visible, looking out from the same crawlspace that was supposedly unknown to the family. The evidence suggests that this person has been living beneath the floorboards for decades. If you find a sealed room in a historic home, there is usually a reason the previous owners wanted it forgotten.